So today we did something a little bit different. I've never filmed myself doing this before and pretty excited to show it to you guys. This is what's called wire wrapping. For those of you that don't know what wire wrapping is, you basically take some stone or something, some rock, piece of wood, whatever, and you wrap wire around it to make something beautiful. And today I'm going to show you my technique. I've been doing this for about 14 years. Hope you guys enjoy what comes out of this. Okay, now when we get started, what we have to do is measure the size of the stone and make sure that we get the right size wire, which is what we're doing now. And that other piece of silver there in between my hands was my first attempt at doing this. You know, it's a high grade, I guess you could say, of wire wrapping. This is not like a beginner's. This is definitely an advanced type of wire wrapping that we're doing. So sometimes the bail doesn't end up working, or the piece doesn't end up working out or looking as you would want it. So you have to throw the piece away and start over. And so after we cut all the wires, as you can see, we had to polish. A lot of polishing. I do a lot of polishing before we put these wires together, so make sure they look good. Because once you layer those wires together, there's no going back. You don't get to polish, and sometimes just a little bit of corrosion can kind of spread because it's corrosion's a chemical reaction. So we line up all the wires, try to find the center, which is what I'm doing here, and then we basically just wrap all these wires together to start forming this bail or basket or whatever you want to call it that's going to hold this absolutely gorgeous amethyst faceted stone that we got here. Now we've started actually making some prongs that are going to start holding in the actual stone. And the way I do this is I make sure that all of the prongs have to be exactly the same height. Because when you put that stone in, if one of the prongs is longer than another one, it's going to be very obvious, and it's not going to hold the stone in place. And you have to be very, very specific on keeping the length of the prongs correctly. So what I do, yeah, I need to adjust my camera. It's my first time filming these, so next time will be much better. I use these little pliers here to make sure that all of my prongs are exactly the same length, and I've made enough of these to know how far down I have to bend that prong to make sure it's going to hold the stone in place. And I finally got the point across here that I need to adjust my camera. So here we go, let's give myself a second. Now you see me use these like short-nosed blue-handled pliers right there, and those are really powerful pliers. They really help kind of like crimp those wires for the prongs down so they don't have a little bump. So if you take a square wire and you bend it all the way in half and crimp it down, the edges flare out a little bit. So I use these pliers to crimp them down and kind of smash that back to how I want it to look. And they're also so powerful, so strong that I can hold all sorts of different pieces right where I want them to. When I'm bending multiple wires. The wire that's going to actually have the chain hanging from it on this pendant is a 18 gauge square silver half-hard wire, and so it's really difficult to bend when you add on 4 other wires. You know, there's a lot of pressure you have to use to get those things bent straight. So here again, you see me using my little pliers to set the depth of those prongs. And then what you'll see here in just a second is what I was just talking about, where I grab these. Yep, see, there we go. I grabbed them, those blue-handled pliers, and smash that down flat, so the end of the prong is not have that silver flared out, which I can't show you in this. I'll have to do a demonstration another time to show you guys what I'm talking about. And I also know the quality of this video is kind of going downhill, but it's a lot of time to make one of these. I do want to show you guys all the way finished. Okay, we're getting to the trickiest part here, where you have all these wires up at the top and you have to bend them over to complete this kind of bale or basket or whatever you want to call it that's going to hold this gem. It's really tricky because you have to bend one and then make a prong to hold the stone, and then make sure you bend it so your stone hangs in the middle of the stone. So as they come together, you don't want to have it too far to the left or too far to the right. So it's really tricky how to do that, and I gotta say, I've ruined a lot of pieces not getting this right, so this is definitely the trickiest part right here. I like it how Bob Ross says there's only happy accidents, because that piece you see there on the table that I was just looking at, that's the accident. And you know, I can learn something every time. When you make a piece, it's just like doing a drawing. You do the same drawing over and over and over again, you're going to learn so much each time. And right now you see me making the part of the necklace where the gem's actually going to hang from the wire or the chain or the necklace or whatever you want to say. And you know, it's good to have already made that once, because it's going to be a tricky part. I'm sure there's easier or different ways to do this, but this is the way that I figured it out, and I really like how they look, even though it's very difficult to do and get it done. But you know, we're getting close to the finish line here, so I hope you guys hang in there and watch the rest of the video and get to see the actual finished project. You see the clippers are coming out, so we're getting real close to being finished here with the actual creation of the pendant here. It's really looking nice. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It turned out very, very stunning. Mostly because that stone is just so beautiful. But right now I'm just finishing up the top part and making sure we get it all pinched up and the extra wires clipped off, cleaned up, and spread apart that part there where the chain's gonna hang. And then we're gonna set the stone here in just a second. So just keep watching. Step here, we're now setting the stone, and we're just going to do some quick marks here, and then we're going to pull out the Dremel tool that has a fine burr on it, and we're going to just score the inside of that, where that mark is, to make a space for that to bend over. That prong needs to bend over very sharply and not flare out. So you have to just remove the tiniest little bit of silver on each one of these things to make sure it'll just fold over just so and hold the stone. those super powerful stubby nose pliers. Now what I'm doing is just bending the tips of those prongs over, and I'm sure it's really hard to see because these are pretty small bends that I'm making, but it's just a tiny little bit of bending that over. So I'll just, in just a second here, you'll see me pop that stone in, and the whole pendant will be finished, and that stone will not come out, and it'll pretty much be finished. So here we go. I'm excited to show this to you guys.